how letting go of my son's past allowed him to finally have a future. When my son, Toby, was diagnosed with leukemia at 3 years old, my entire world just stopped. I became the gatekeeper, the protector, the guy carrying hand sanitizer like it was a loaded weapon. My wife, Rachel, she coped differently. The medical bills were drowning us, so she threw herself into her job. She worked 80-hour weeks while I sat in sterile hospital rooms watching poison drip into my little boy's veins. We broke. It wasn't a loud explosion, just a quiet, agonizing drift. By the time Toby hit remission, we were divorced. I had primary custody because, in my head, Rachel had abandoned us. I built a fortress around Toby. No sleepovers, no public pools, no risks. I was white-knuckling my way through fatherhood. Fast forward 5 years. Toby is 8. He is healthy, loud, and constantly covered in dirt. Last month, Rachel asked to meet for coffee. We usually only exchanged quick texts about drop-offs, so my chest tightened immediately. We sat in this crowded little diner, and she looked at me with tears in her eyes. She said she wanted 50-50 custody, and she wanted to take Toby camping. Camping. Bugs, dirt, hours away from a hospital. I almost laughed in her face. I told her it was reckless. I told her she didn't understand what it took to keep him safe. She looked down at her coffee and said, "David, he's not sick anymore, but you're still treating him like a patient." That night, I put Toby to bed. He has this little nightlight that projects stars on the ceiling. I sat in his doorway, watching the plastic stars spin, and I called my best friend Mike. I vented for 20 minutes. I called Rachel irresponsible. I said she didn't have the right to waltz in and play fun mom after I did all the hard work. Mike let me finish. Then he sighed and said, "Dave, are you protecting Toby from getting hurt? Or are you protecting yourself from being terrified?" That question hit me right in the gut. I started seeing a family mediator with Rachel. Her name was Sarah, and she didn't let me hide behind my trauma. During our second session, Rachel brought a folder. She didn't bring lawyers. She brought a thick, color-coded binder. It had maps of the campground, the exact distance to the nearest pediatric urgent care, a list of Toby's allergies, and a detailed itinerary. She looked at me, her hands physically shaking, and said, "I missed the hardest years of his life because I was terrified of losing our house and terrified of watching him fade. I know I messed up, but I am begging you, let me be his mom." I looked at the binder. I saw the hours of meticulous planning. She wasn't being reckless. She was trying to build a bridge back to her son. I realized right then, my fear was a heavy blanket. It kept Toby warm when he was sick, but now it was suffocating him. I agreed to the camping trip. The morning they left, I packed Toby's duffel bag with enough first aid supplies to run a triage tent. Toby ran to Rachel's SUV, wearing this oversized hiking backpack, grinning from ear to ear. He hugged me tight and whispered, "Don't worry, Dad. I'll protect Mom from the bears." I forced a smile, kissed his forehead, and watched them drive away. My house felt like a tomb. I paced the hardwood floors for hours. I kept checking my phone, staring at the blank screen, waiting for disaster to strike. At 8 o'clock that night, my phone finally buzzed. It was a picture from Rachel. Toby was sitting in front of a campfire, his face smeared with chocolate and marshmallow, holding a glowing sparkler. He looked so wild, so completely, wonderfully alive. Under the picture, Rachel texted, "He told me you're the bravest dad in the world. Thank you for this." I sat on my kitchen floor and I just wept. I cried for the 3-year-old boy who almost didn't make it. I cried for the marriage that didn't survive the storm. But mostly, I cried because I finally understood. Being a good parent isn't about keeping your kids in a bubble. It's about giving them the roots to grow and the absolute courage to step out into the wild. Toby came home 2 days later, smelling like wood smoke and pine needles. He didn't stop talking for 3 hours. He dumped a handful of smooth river stones on the kitchen counter and sorted them. He handed one to me, and then he pushed one across the counter and said, "This one is for Mom's house, for my room there." He looked at me, waiting for my reaction. I picked up the little gray stone, smiled at my son, and said, "I think she's going to love it, buddy." And for the first time in 5 years, I actually meant it.